Hey everybody, welcome to the segment we call Thrill Me, where we pick horror movies, thrillers, action thrillers, anything that like pulse pounding, kind of a slight fear factor to it. And I'm your host Michael. Curzy's on the other side.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry for the long time without an episode.
Dude, seriously, it's that time of year though. I usually do not record between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and so thankfully my slate has been real clean.
Yeah, we kind of missed like the premiere holiday for this kind of shit, and I feel bad. Like from a week before Halloween all the way through the holidays, like that's really when like the uploading should be more consistent. So my bad.
It's okay. So this is kind of a sidestep. It's we used to do a show called Trash Cinema. We may do it again, but these are movies that are kind of trashy, but I still think are good. And the two movies are Night of the Juggler and Fade to Black. Night of the Juggler is kind of legendary because it's one of these that everybody discovered that's older than me. They always talk about it. I've literally seen some guy say it was a masterpiece, and I go, I gotta find this movie. Found it on YouTube because it has never been beyond VHS. The rights are completely lost. I guess some bank in Europe owns it, and they don't give a shit that they own it.
I mean, maybe it's just me, but I don't get it. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I don't see what the big hubbub is.
But of course, it's all a matter of taste. I think it got better the second time I watched it, but a lot of it is. It seems like a movie that you should have seen widescreen, but it's also you're taking 40 years away. You know, the movies have changed so much in 40 years.
Right?
That,
yeah.
I really think this is it's an action thriller because this fucking thing moves at times, and it has a really good car chase sequence and stuff like that. And but it's still, I think, part of the thriller category. Would you say so?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think what's interesting about both of these movies is that they kind of have they share kind of a similar theme, which maybe we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah. All
right, so this is the one from 1980 with James Brolin. And it's, like I said, completely lost. And it's based on the novel Night of the Juggler, and I'm still not 100% certain why it's called that. I mean, because not all the movie takes place at night, and I guess it's just because he's juggling a lot of things all at once. It does seem like a strange. I think it was called the New York Connection in other countries, which that also doesn't make sense. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask, but like, what the fuck? What's with the Night of the Juggler? Is that supposed to be the villain? Is that supposed to be the main character? Like, who's the juggler in this?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out too. But it's all about mistaken identity, and this crazy actor, and I've only seen him in one other movie, Cliff Gorman. He has this look in his eyes like he was always just a Looney Tune in movies.
Yes.
He's desperate for money, and he's like lost the fortune his family had because of other crazy things, and he blames a certain guy for it. He's going to kidnap his daughter, and he somehow, through the fact that his daughter looks a lot like James Brolin's daughter, kidnaps the wrong child and demands the money. And it's just this fucking breakneck pace. It starts immediately with the chase, and he gets so close so many times, and I just can't believe just the thing. It just, these little bits and pieces, whatever, get in his way and slow him down, and then he loses his daughter. And I think it's a really cool sequence.
Yeah, I like that part. I kind of like the opening where it's more about like seeing more of the main character, his day, going home to his daughter, giving her hot dogs for some reason. I don't know. It was weird, but I like that it shows something like that. Like it really gives you a sense of sort of like what their situation is financially, because that does play a role much later in the movie with the mistaken identity. To give you an idea of like where the daughter is coming from, and trying to explain that to this guy.
Yeah, and there's a big thing with what happened before the movie. I love movies where life exists before, and not just during the movie. So there's a whole thing. They don't 100% explain it unless I missed it. There was a case sometime earlier where he, broke the code of silence and took a dirty cop down. Also, since he was on the, the hunt or whatever. Hold on, I'm not saying it right. Since he's on like that list of like, oh, shitty cops we don't give a fuck about, when they started doing budget cuts, he was the first to go because they were glad to get rid of him. So not only is he now poor, he's out of a job, basically he needs a truck driver occasionally, the cops hate his fucking guts, so most of them do not want to help. In fact, one of them is out of his goddamn mind and wants to kill him.
Yeah, and that's probably the best part of the movie, is that there's, and yeah, maybe this is the juggling part of the title, but the fact that he has to try to find this guy sort of off the books in a way, while being chased by the cops for really no good reason.
Yeah, and it has a trashy element with the fact that it's in the sleazy part of New York, and he spends this big chunk of the movie trying to talk to a stripper and ask her what is it that she saw when his child was kidnapped. And I was actually shocked to see Sharon Mitchell was the role, and she's a real porn star.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
She was the one that was in, the room that he goes to where all the girls are dancing around, and he keeps trying to talk to them, but they're not listening to him.
Oh, is she the one that followed him for a bit?
Yeah, she has a really short brown hair. She's actually apparently a pretty good actress, from what I can tell, for a porn star. I mean, that sounds bad, but you know what I mean.
I mean, they are great actors in general. I mean, you have to buy the fact that they're enjoying.
Yeah.
Especially in that time period when it was mostly run by the mafia, having a gun basically to their head. So, sometimes they're even better actors.
Yeah, it's just that seems a little sleazy, and I thought it was really cool though because the frustration builds because he cannot get out what he needs to say, and he is on a time crunch. That's the biggest thing: is these people aren't listening, they're not helping, and the people who do help him seem to get in deep shit.
Yeah, I do think that while all this is going on, it's cutting back to the daughter and the kidnapper, and again, this is kind of like where the theme is going to. A lot of it is out of necessity or out of being misguided. And it's sort of, I don't want to say necessarily it's about trying to reform police strategies or just the criminal justice system, but it does definitely take a very different approach than most 80s movies from here on out. When we get into more of the Reagan era and you get stuff like Commando and you get that sort of
right
meathead kind of stuff. This is, and not that this isn't, brainless fun either, but it definitely, there's more of an element of trying to understand criminality.
And there's a weird, almost like Arrested Development mentality to the villain, because the things that he says, they seem so childlike at times. He always talks about his mother in a certain way or how his dad treated him, and he falls in love with this little girl. And it didn't seem like in a pedophile way. It's like he had something in his head that never reached a certain maturity level. Like he was just a really angry child. Yeah.
And again, I think that comes across really well. It's more about this. This character is kind of it's tragic in this way.
Yeah.
That if something went right, he wouldn't be in this position. If there was just some luck, or maybe if you just had better upbringing, whatever. So there's that kind of that element in the movie that I think is makes it worth watching for sure.
And one of the things that his character has is a severe anger towards anybody who's not like him. He hates rich people, he hates anybody of a different race, and he blames them for all of his problems. And a lot of it has to do with his just ignorance and low-level intelligence. And I feel that still speaks today because we see so many people just blame things that make no sense. Where the real villain is right in front of your face and you just don't want to see it because they look like you.
Mm-hmm. And I can't remember when he does call the wealthy family. What did they do about that? I don't.
I remember
he
asked.
Like they just ignored him.
Yeah, he asked them for money. No, I think they actually called the cops because they were concerned because they thought he wasn't thinking right and that he was going to come for their daughter. She's like, "What are you talking about? Why would I give you money when my daughter's looking right here?" And I think the mother panicked and thought that she was going to eventually be kidnapped, and that's when they got the police involved and actually started listening because no one gave a shit when James Brolin was complaining.
Oh, right. Okay.
I really like the heavyset cop. He, I don't know who that actor is, but he has a very casual approach to his acting, and I just love the scene where he's talking about investing in that yogurt, and he goes, "And what is it again?" And he explains it to me. He goes, "No, I'm good. That's disgusting." I guess frozen yogurt was like a brand new thing.
Yeah, and it didn't really get popular until Seinfeld did that episode on it with Giuliani.
Yeah, the two major sequences though, the initial car chase, and then there's a chase on the streets with Dan Hedaya, character actor Dan Hedaya, who is just openly firing in the middle of the fucking street, And those sequences really kick ass. I love the fact that the cops walk up to him like, "Who the fuck are you? And why are you opening? I don't care if you're a cop. You don't open fire in the streets."
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really remember that sequence that much. Oh man.
So this movie's kind of strange also because 3/4 of it was directed by Sidney J. Furie, who became known for doing things like Iron Eagle, and he was big in the 70s. But he quit because James Brolin actually broke his ankle in that car chase sequence.
Ooh.
And so he was sick and tired of waiting around, saw another job arriving or whatever, and said, "Oh, look, guys, I've run out of time, I'm out." So they hired somebody else to finish it. So you'll see James Brolin limping for part of the movie because his foot was still healing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of remember that. It was like walking weird. It's like, did I miss something?
Yeah, so when he's walking down the hill away from that gang at the end, which is, I think, a really intense sequence, how things can just escalate so fucking fast for no reason whatsoever, you can see that he can't walk very well, and he's still just fucking powered through it.
Yeah, well, that's the way you gotta do it.
Yeah, it's funny how his son broke out so much bigger, and for a moment, I think James Brolin was a red-hot actor who did...
He was in the Amityville Horror, right?
Right, that's his big hit. He was in Westworld, which is also a big hit. But he did a couple movies after this, which I think are fantastic. But from the interview I read with James Brolin, or Josh Brolin, is that he and his brother were getting into a lot of trouble. So his dad stopped doing movies and started doing a TV show, which basically destroyed his career.
What TV show?
It was on TV for about 5 years, called Hotel.
No,
it was basically Love Boat, but in a hotel. So,
oh no,
yeah, it's one of those where he could show up for a day, just be like the wraparound, like, "Hey, I run this hotel. Here are the guests," and the stories would be about the guests. So, but he made the choice for his family, not about fame and money. So, I kudos to him.
Good for him. That's very much. Oh man, well, this is Rick Moranis. Same thing. Yep.
I highly recommend this movie. I enjoyed it, I think, a little bit more. I enjoyed it more the second time, and maybe sometime down the road. If someone ever finds the rights to this and releases it in a clean print, that was a hard thing, wasn't it? The musty old VHS that we saw on YouTube, that didn't help.
Yeah, that definitely at times I'm like, I don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, and especially in the tunnels. The whole final sequence is in the tunnels, and I'm like, what did I just see? But I thought that was a pretty interesting ending. I just wanted to see it better.
Yeah, me too.
How he doesn't even care about the money anymore. Or how he keeps changing in his mind based on the position. He's like, well, this money isn't for me, it's for her. And he's like, but it's my daughter. He's like, yeah, but we're going to run away together. We love each other. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? And then he just keep going. He's like, please don't go. The desperation just seems so childlike.
Yeah, and ultimately really sad, too.
Yeah.
Which, again, is what's probably one of the better parts of the movie.
The second film we're going to discuss is also kind of about... damaged development in a man. Fade to Black is kind of notorious because it was another one of those like, hey, this is a great movie, but it got lost for a long time. It just got released on Blu-ray for the first time ever on Thanksgiving. I have a copy coming, but there's some stuff I love about it. There's some stuff I cannot figure out at all. But it's about a movie obsessed guy who works on a lot, works with prints or whatever, and he's just abused by his supposed aunt, but it actually turns out to be his mother. And then people he works with, they all think he's a creep and a weirdo, and he tries to get with girls, and it doesn't work. Some stuff really. I think Dennis Christopher, the main guy, is great.
Yes, it's fantastic.
But I think his turn, I'm not completely sold on his instant turn. Yeah,
that one was a hard sell. I thought it was mostly funny, so it didn't bother me. I actually really liked this movie.
The one thing though they did do right is that he has so much like frustration emotionally, like the villain in the previous movie, is that he's not 100% certain of what he's doing or what he wants, because he'll do something and then immediately regret it, and like he'll throw up or he'll panic, or sometimes it's like accidental deaths.
Yeah. That's it's a kind of complete theme of both movies, is that there is a sort of, I don't want to say necessarily detective, he's more like a police psychologist, I guess, where his whole thing is that he feels as though it's basically upbringing that causes a lot of emotional problems in people, and that's really that we should be looking at criminals more as victims as well as perpetrators of crime. So which was an interesting idea, but then he was only in the movie for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it's surprising it was in 1980 that during... I guess you're right, because we're not in the Republican era. 5 years from now, that's going to have a completely different plot.
I mean, well, yeah, because Reagan was like 80 or 81, but before that was Jimmy Carter,
right?
I think. Remember correctly? If I remember my U.S. history, which I probably don't. Don't listen to me.
No, you're correct. He was 81 to 89 is Reagan era. So, and Reagan really the era didn't really kick in until 84. That's when everybody thinks of Reagan is 84 to 89.
Yeah. That's when the good movies started coming out.
But it's also had a different mentality. You still feel a lot of sensitivity. As wild as these movies are, and they're kind of trashy in some elements, but there's a lot of sensitivity to them.
There's a lot of humanity to these stories that they're telling. It's not just, thriller, popcorn kind of fun. That there is something that they're trying to say. And I think that does make these movies, especially Fade to Black, worth watching for me. Because I actually like to write short stories from time to time, and I've actually written a short story that's very similar to this story. So, because I always like the idea of having the main character of a movie like this, where he's playing kind of the tropes that would be played by some attractive actor, just be played by someone who just looks like some guy.
Yeah.
They remade Maniac with
Elijah Wood, right?
Elijah Wood, right. And what was great about the first Maniac is, he just looks like some guy. He just talks like some guy. But then you have Elijah Wood, like movie star, handsome. Like it doesn't feel the same. It just feels corporate, and it feels it just feels weird. Uh-huh. So I really like this story just being a very normal looking person.
Yeah, now by the time this came out, he was actually a name, but I believe this movie was made because he was in a movie the year before called Breaking Away, which I think he got Oscar nomination for, and so he was kind of a hot property for a moment. And I heard that he's like super super method, and sometimes it's difficult to communicate with him and work with him. So a lot of people stop casting him, but I've seen him in stuff, and I just think he's astounding. I almost got to meet him, and I'm just really disappointed I didn't get to.
Oh, it sucks.
My friend Will Farharo was a teenager around this time, and he was friends with Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke was kind of his big brother, in quotation marks, and he got to hang out on Fade to Black and see how it was made.
Nice. That's awesome. Dude, you should interview him about that.
We talked about it a little bit years ago. I have the episode somewhere. Well, because we did, when I first started podcasting, he came on to help me, and we talked about him being in that movie, or being around that movie.
You should clip that and put that with this episode.
You know what? That is a good idea. So, and I get the movie thing. I mean, I've had moments like this where I have to pretend like, I'm normal. But sometimes you can really geek out to movies. Life sucks shit. A lot of it's in my head. It really isn't that bad. There's people that have it way worse than I do. But I usually lose myself in pop culture, in movies, in comics, in TV, and stuff like that, music, because I don't like the real world. And I see where he's going. He has an awful home life. Work doesn't go the way he wants it to. So he just loses himself in this world. And the further the stress builds up, the further he loses himself into it. Like, he becomes the characters.
Yeah, and it's a way to adapt, and it's a way to escape the unfortunate reality of his life. Yeah. And I think anyone who's listening to this podcast, especially this podcast, probably can understand and maybe feels the same way, because I certainly feel that way from time to time. And I think a lot of people do. The way people talk to each other, people often will quote movie lines to each other or things like that. And it's not very different from what he does. It's just that he doesn't have friends to kind of understand the joke or understand the reference.
Right, he doesn't get the bounce off anybody who's on the same level with him, because every time he tries to reach out to somebody, it's so awkward. Like, he tries to be nice in that cafe to the girl, but the one girl's really shitty to him, and he doesn't know how to approach it properly. He has a pre-George McFly Back to the Future scene.
Yeah.
Or he's trying to talk to the guys at work, and they're douchebags, and he's doing that bet about Casablanca, and just Mickey Rourke's a real asshole about it.
That shit was the best. I can't believe that. That I've never seen someone be such a jock about Casablanca. That was my favorite scene.
Yeah.
So I know everything about that movie. I've seen it backwards and forwards. Oh, you talking about Rick, the owner of the Americana Cafe? Like, nobody talks like that.
Right.
It's
but maybe
amazing.
in LA it is. Maybe movies is. I've been around people like this. Never not as good looking as Mickey Rourke. Good Lord, was he handsome back then, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
If you put a picture of him now and then, people are like, "What? That's the same dude."
Yeah.
But I've seen people be so fucking pretentious about pop culture. It's like, no, there was actually issue 342 of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, not Spectacular Spider-Man. I was like, all right, dude, you know it's Spider-Man, right? We're good. We're on the same page. Shut up.
Well, there's a difference between the guy that does that and the guy and Mickey Rourke doing that.
True. There was a jock though once. I was working at Target. And I was in the you remember that room where they locked up all the movies and electronics and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was in there doing a scan return, and we're talking about something with some sports movie or whatever, and all of a sudden he looks at me and goes, dude, you're really a fan of this whatever. You won't say that. And I was like, all right, do you feel better now? Do you feel like a man? Are we good? Can we go back to work? People, you can. It's not just movies and pop culture. It can be sports. It can be any, cars, stuff like that, where people are just like, I know more than you. That means I'm cooler. It's like, no, not necessarily. You just don't have to be a dick about it.
Yeah. And another thing that I really appreciated about this one is that there are often stories of like nerds hooking up with really attractive women, and it really comes off as weird and forced. It's like, why would you hang out with this weird guy? Like, that doesn't make sense. But they actually went the extra mile to explain it in a way that actually makes sense, where the person that he was kind of pseudo hitting on in the restaurant, where she wants to be an actress or a model and that kind of thing, and she loves movies, but where she grew up, there was no cinema. So meeting someone who's like really into movies and was like trying to get her into it was really. I thought that kind of makes sense that she would want to hang out with someone like that.
Yeah, and it was really sweet that she felt so bad about accidentally forgetting the date. Yes. And then, she runs over there or whatever, and she's trying to find him. Not just like, oh, he's not here, I'm going to go. She was like, felt shitty about what she did, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about this movie. I think we're probably going to start talking about the turn that this movie takes, and it kind of starts to go a little downhill from here. Yeah,
it's when it starts building into like a slasher. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. It's a gimmick, and that's what bothers me, is it doesn't feel true to the story, but... there was an element right before we get into that. There's an element in this that I got annoyed with, but then I started thinking about it. It makes sense. There's a lot of filler where he's just wandering the streets. Oh, they're showing you this theater, they're showing you this, whatever, and it's like a tour guide of Los Angeles sometimes. Or there's too many sequences where he's just watching movies. And then I was like, wait, he's a guy who has no friends, who doesn't want to really be around his mother or his aunt, and he just kind of like wanders. His whole world is just wandering, looking for something that he can connect to, and that's what those sequences are more like, not just filler.
Right, exactly. That's kind of how I took it as well. Just this crushing loneliness that not only do we understand about him because it's awkward, we understand because we watch what his life looks like, and we understand that everything he does is completely alone.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's trying to talk to people, that never goes well. Whether he's just trying to escape from his mom, whether he's just going to work. There's just nothing in his life that he can reflect on.
And so the thing is with his mom. Now I want to get this straight. So she pretended to be his aunt because why?
I think because she low key hated him. Maybe not even low key, but she hated him because since he was an unplanned pregnancy, kind of like ruined her career, and so she didn't want to acknowledge that she was his mother.
And because she gave birth to him is why she couldn't walk, or like fucked up her back, or was there something else I missed?
I don't know.
Because I think she was blaming him for that. But yeah, but he was so young that he didn't know, and so. But she snaps one day. She keeps holding it in, and she's so abusive, and then she just.
Oh shit! No, I remember. Something happened when he was home alone. She was out somewhere at a party or something like that, like some. Hollywood bigwig, something like that, and then he got hurt or something, and the babysitter called her to come home, and she got into a car accident. And
so that's why she blames him. Jeez.
Yeah, And he was explaining to her, it's like, I never asked her to call you. And so, yeah.
Well, he's still a child. That's fucking stupid. You're still your responsibility. You're the one who got into the accident.
Yeah, so it's just this just tragedy, blow after blow in this movie for this kid.
And she blows up, but the thing is that she is always yelling at him. So this is just like her normal behavior, but she just is one step too far, and he finally just snaps. And he has this moment where he regrets it and he throws up or whatever. And I guess it's just slow steps, but his jump to killing Mickey Rourke is where I was like, wait, that's a big jump ahead. Now he's purposely dressing up and he's becoming basically like, a monster.
Yeah, it got weird. He's kind of like a chameleon where he's like assuming roles of movie characters and dressing up like them and doing the lines. It kind of took a turn where it was more like, it's like I'm watching a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of thing.
Yeah,
like one of the later sequels.
Right, the gimmicky stuff. Well, it's so weird that he decides that he's going to be Cody Jarrett, but he keeps changing characters. So why does he stick with Cody Jarrett? Why doesn't he constantly change his name based on the character he's going to do next?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's where it's a little flimsy for me, but I still think it has a solid ending, and it's a lot of it. It's just because Dennis Christopher's performance is very, very good.
Yes. And, I love the Psycho scene. That was brilliant.
Oh yeah, I just wanted your autograph.
It was so good. It was like the build up where she's taking a shower, and then like you see behind the curtain, and he's like walking up, and pulls back the curtain. And and it looks like he's stabbing her, but he's just like holding a pen, and then he drops the pen in the water, and like the black ink is circling the drain, like the blood in Psycho.
Yeah, I mean, clearly
good.
Loved. Whoever directed or put this together clearly loved movies, but it's weird that they're all kind of like classic era. Like this is filmed in 1980, but it feels like most of the movies were from 40 years earlier. Which, for a kid his age, you'd think he would be discovering movies from the 60s.
Sure, but that's not totally unbelievable for me. But I think honestly, the real reason is because they need a character who watches a ton of movies, so there's going to be a lot of movies being watched. But they also wanted most of it to be in public domain, so they wouldn't have to pay anything.
And no, actually, I don't think a single one of those, except Night of the Living Dead, was public domain. I got another idea though, because I've heard stories of this in the mid '70s. Some of these catalogs from like Universal Studios and Warner Bros. And stuff like that, they started just putting together packages of movies and sending them out to all the little stations and sold them for cheap, because we're getting to the era where home video is going to become a thing, and maybe they just thought, hey, we can start sending these classic movies out to fill like afternoons or late nights or whatever, and that's how the new generation discovered 30s and 40s movies. There was a revival. I forgot all these gangster revival and stuff in that era too, and then like comic strip kind of stuff, not comic books but comic strips like Dick Tracy and Popeye and stuff like that. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe these kids weren't discovering it 20 years later like we do. They were discovering it from 40 years earlier because that was what was being packaged and sent out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now
there
we
we go. Now we just solved that. We just solved that case.
So that is the end of our discussion about 1980 thrillers. We're going to be moving on to 1981, and I got to tell you some great ones. There's The Howling, Scanners, Escape from New York, stuff like that. I cannot wait.
Oh, dude. Okay, we gotta when we get to it, we gotta talk about The Howling 2. I don't know what year that is.
That's 85, I think.
Okay, yeah, 85 or 86. I'm not.
Dude,
sure.
I'm willing to discuss every single Howling movie except for that one, Part 7, where it's a budget of $12 and it's a bunch of rednecks just sitting around town going, "Y'all seen that werewolf?" No, I ain't seen that werewolf. There's a werewolf in town, and it's a guy who shows up in a mask and jumps through a window, and that's the end.
Well, now I really want to talk about it. I want to watch.
Should have told you. There's a lot of square dancing or line dances. Fucking insane.
Oh my god! Yes. Okay.
Okay, so that is it for us episode. Seriously, 1981 is gonna fucking rule. And we covered a couple of movies like Blood Beach and stuff like that, but we got 81 is like the golden year of horror movies and thrillers.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Good night. All right, everybody. It is the segment you've all been waiting for. By that, I mean nobody's probably been waiting for it, but it's the last segment of our 1985 films. Stuff that maybe wasn't a big hit. Well, there's a couple big hits in this, but a lot of it's kind of like lost movies. One of the movies we did miss, and it wasn't in time. Jacob will find beer later. We'll do it at the beginning of our 1986 episode. Because beer is liquid bread, and it's good for you.
Oh my god, and I had enough liquid bread for one night.
Yeah.
My head. Hey, my god, my head, it feels like it's pounding. Like little Baba Yaga swirling around in there.
Yeah, if you're wondering what's going on, this is the end of the 1985 season. We're going to take a short break. We're going to do a couple other episodes, and we'll start back up probably at the end of January, early February with the 1986 season. And Jacob, how are you preparing for Christmas? You all ready, or are you pretty stressed out and tired?
I'd say I'm well set. I mean, Thanksgiving's usually worse.
Yeah.
Or leading up to it, anyway.
Yeah, Black Friday was nothing for us this year. It was absolutely dead as a doornail because dealing with COVID, my company was actually responsible for fucking once and decided to start Black Friday sales on Monday. So it filtered down pretty well.
Oh, good. Yeah, finally. Ugh.
Because in Oregon, I don't know if you guys have capacity limits on stores in Napa, but here we do. It's at 75%. I think it's going to be going down to 50% soon.
Yeah, we do. I know Trader Joe's has always been like sticking with their guidelines constantly. You know, Target, I believe, is starting to do that now, along with Whole Foods. But yeah, no, heck, even GameStop did that.
Oh wow!
Well, this was before they closed down.
Okay. Oh wait, closed down? Like they're shut down? They went out of business?
The one in Napa, yeah, like the nearest store's in Vallejo now.
Yeah, a lot of the GameStops are going out because they overspent. They're so far in debt that I wouldn't be surprised if they cut another. They cut 30% of the stores this year. That's a lot. And I bet you they cut another 30 after Christmas. And we're only going to have 40% left for 2021. And who knows what happens after that. I'm going to guess a lot of focus is going to be on online sales.
Most likely, yeah. I know. I like their pre-order bonuses. Dang it! That's where I got my video games.
Well, before pre-order bonuses were even a thing, we're looking at 1985. What are the 5 films we're going to be discussing today? Start us off with number 1.
Okay, so number 1, I got to get this one off my chest. I mean, I watched this so many times as a kid, and I couldn't help but like reenact some of the things they said, and you know, it was a pretty good soundtrack. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. It's definitely Bruce Lee exploitation.
It is definitely.
With some subliminal music advertising. I mean,
you think there's a lot of music in this movie. I mean, yes, Barry Gordy owns Motown Records was his label.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
of course, yes.
It's a big music video. It has some really interesting elements, and I don't really think that Taimak, is that his name? Taimak?
Yeah, Taimak. Yeah.
Is a good actor, but he's very gifted and he's likable, but he's not necessarily very emotive. But I think what everybody goes crazy for in this movie is show enough.
Oh God, yes, yeah. That's like one of the most quoted guys ever. Oh no, who's the master?
Yeah, God, I can't remember his name. He played Lord Buller on a TV show I used to watch all the time called The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. And he was also in the very first season of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Oh wow! Wait, wasn't Ryan Reynolds in that one?
Yeah, that's his big breakthrough in America because he was on a Canadian show, I believe, called 15, and then they moved it like 16 and 17. I think it got canceled or something like that. And then he came over here to do that right after that show ended. And the first season is different because there's 2 adult actors with them, and they got rid of him in season 2, so he was out of a job. Sadly, and he passed away about, I think, 10, 15 years ago, so he died kind of young.
Oh, Julius Carey was his name.
Yes, thank you. I was literally trying to find that, and I couldn't get my typing in very well. Yes, very like... he was also on the TV show Dr. Doctor, so he got around. He did a lot of work, but he is fucking cut in this. Everything I know him later is that he's kind of beefy. Yeah,
no, he was definitely ripped to shreds. I mean, but he looked like he was a professional wrestler or like one of the one of the WWE. There was 2 brothers who wore these big old hockey pads with all these spikes.
Yeah, Hawk and they're called like the Demolition Boys or something like that. No,
I believe so. Yeah,
Big Van Vader was something else. I can't remember. I think it was called like the Destruction Boys or Demolition Boys. I could be wrong about this.
But like I said, I will say this about the character Shonuff. I'm like, he did have style.
He did, and he was actually. I don't know if Julius Carey really knew martial arts, but there's some stuff in there he pulls off, and they're clearly not cutting away.
Oh no, not at all. I mean, Tamok actually does practice Jeet Kune Do and a few other styles of martial arts.
Yeah, because he's a real
But,
martial arts master, right? And they just happened to find him for this movie.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think, even though it is like Bruce Lee exploitation, you can tell it's a love letter to him too.
Yeah, well,
Especially,
this is around that time when they started doing that. There's another movie that came out, I think, about 6 months after this called No Retreat, No Surrender. And that is full-on Bruce exploitation. In fact, I think the ghost of Bruce Lee visits the kid.
Although that little montage clip with Willie Hutch's The Globe playing, oh, that was like, again, that's just like an awesome clip. I like some of his best movies.
Yeah, there's stuff that works in this movie.
Man.
The one thing I don't understand, and I think it's so campy and so weird, is that subplot with the mafioso who's trying to push his girlfriend, like all her music. That's weird, right?
Oh yeah, with Faith Prince. Yeah, a little. It's goofy. And oh yeah, Bill Macy was in there. He was like he was Vanity's manager, I think.
Bill Macy. I can't remember who that is.
Yeah, Will Macy. Shameless. He was in.
Oh, I'm sorry, William H. Macy. Yes, there is a Bill Macy though, who's an older actor. I believe was in not Maude. It was in Maude.
Oh wow. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, heck, even Chaz Palminteri was in this. I know.
Was
like,
he?
quite a few
I didn't
faces.
see him. Wow.
Heck, he was like one of he was the gangsters for Mike Starr.
Ernie Rice Jr.
Ernie Rice Jr.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! He kicked ass.
He did.
Like his scenes, I could definitely believe. Like as far as like doing the actual stunt work, it wasn't Dolomite-esque because there was a couple sequences like when he's dressed up as a ninja and he's trying to save Vanity. I'm like, okay, what the hell? This is like something out of Dolomite. Come on.
Yeah, Vanity's in this, and I can't remember. I get Vanity confused. Vanity was in Purple Rain, correct?
No, she was supposed to be, but she and Prince had broken up.
Well, who's in Purple Rain? Who's the girl in that?
Apollonia.
Apollonia, son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know. I would know this.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize they were... Because I've seen Vanity in a bunch of movies. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. She was in 52 Pickup, Action Jackson, which is one of my favorites, and Never Too Young to Die, which is completely ridiculous. And I always thought that she was in Purple Rain, so I feel bad.
Yeah. But yeah, Ernie Ray Sr. was involved as well. I think that's how Junior got involved. Oh, there's also one guy in particular, Glenn Eaton, the one who played Johnny Yu.
Was he his best friend? Was he his best friend who was kind of charming and funny, who pretended like he wasn't good at martial arts and then it turned to be really good?
Yeah. It's like the art of like, they're like not fighting by not fighting.
Well, I think he is really good. What's his name again? Because I was looking to see if he was in something else, but he wasn't really, and I thought he was very charming.
Yeah, Glenn Eaton. That was
Glenn Eaton. I'm going to look him up here. Oh yeah, Johnny Yu. Yeah, I
really
enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, me too. I thought like he was like my favorite and most watchable character in this film.
I mean, this is the day and age where they're looking for young heroes, and I'm surprised that they didn't go to him.
Yeah, dang, no. I would have expected to see him in more films. Heck,
oh wow, he did shit after this. He did a small role in Penitentiary 3. Don't try to explain that. There's some low rent garbage movies here and a bunch of shorts, and that's it. That's terrible.
Yeah, no, damn. I know. I think he deserved better. That's much as
definitely.
However, how it all played out again as a kid, I watched this so many times. Heck, even my coworkers' kids.
Yeah, this was a big hit.
Yeah,
I didn't know this. It made $33 million, which is a lot back then. And for most of the people from this to not go on to bigger roles, that's kind of strange. You think that some of them would have got more work.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Tamok in particular. But Tamok's still doing his thing, and he's still looking great. I'm like, I swear, there are some people that I'm convinced are vampires. He hasn't aged.
Faith Prince is in this as kind of like a nerdy Cyndi Lauper kind of character. I know her from Spin City. She was on that as that nebbish guy. He talked like this all the time. That was his wife. That's the only thing I knew. When I saw her in this, I was like, what?
Yeah, no, that was pretty funny. She did have like a Cyndi Lauper quality. However,
I think I remember her from Encyclopedia. I would watch it early on HBO.
What's Encyclopedia? Oh, Encyclopedia Brown?
I believe so. Yeah, that's it.
The kid detective, right?
I believe so. It was like almost sketch comedy, and I guess they were teaching you all sorts of random words.
Never mind. No, there was a short-lived TV show when I was a
Encyclopedia.
kid called Encyclopedia Brown, which is based on the famous book. So I don't know what Encyclopedia is, but she's like a Broadway actress.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons. That's where I remember her. But my God, I thought there are times where it's just like, oh my God, she does steal the show with like whenever she screams, or when she puts the villain in his place. You know.
Yeah.
After she decides to leave him and warn Leroy.
Yeah, it's a pretty entertaining movie. It's the first time I've actually watched the whole thing. I think I tried watching it about 12, 13 years ago, but I forgot that I never finished it. And I watched it this time. I was like, it's affable. I like the final action sequence and the glow or whatever he had.
Oh, yes.
What's that song that plays over and over? Is it called The Glow? You've got the glow. You got the power.
By Willie Hutch, yeah.
Okay. They really drilled that one into your brain over and over and over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it did. It played twice. First, when Vanity's trying to impress Leroy, and then Tamok's character.
Yeah.
And then later on, near the end, when she's like, back in her studio and just sitting there all upset because, Leroy left. And everybody else is dancing at a celebration.
There was a really weird sequence in this where he's trying to find the master behind all the wisdom, and he keeps going to that restaurant where there's the three Asian guys who are like really hip and city slick or whatever, and they're speaking jive, and he has no idea how to talk to them. He seems like such a nerd. And it was such a weird juxtaposition of what you expect out of an 80s movie.
Absolutely, yes, I know. I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my gosh. How does this man... It's like, how does this man not know his own culture? I mean, especially like by hanging out with his little brother Richie and his family.
Yeah, I like.
But,
I thought the fact that he picked up Asian style was really interesting, but I thought that hat was fucking stupid. He's like watching a movie and he's eating rice, wearing that hat, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
A little too much. It's the 80s. What do you expect?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's still pretty good though. It was a big hit. It's from the director of, oddly enough, Car Wash and Bustin' Loose. I really like Michael Schultz. He didn't have a whole lot of success after this. This is like his last big hit.
Hey, that is a bummer.
What?
I don't know, you think he would come back and do something now? Yeah.
Well, he does a lot of TV. He's like the guy for TV, comedies and stuff like that, and drama.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's still working a lot. What is our next film?
Okay, this one I've never seen before, and I could not tell until I saw the credits that it was a Scorsese flick. It was After Hours.
Yeah, it might be his most unsuccessful. After this, he started really questioning where he was going in his career because I think The King of Comedy was right before this, and it bombed, so he hadn't had a hit for a little bit. I think the last one was Raging Bull in 1980. So he got nervous, and he did The Last Temptation of Christ. He's trying to make something really controversial, and I guess that did well. But then, of course, he kind of went really big-time studio with Cape Fear, and that just kind of cemented it for him.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, but After Hours is his only, I would technically say it might be considered a comedy. It's the lightest of the bunch, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely a dark comedy.
Yeah, there's some moments in this that are truly scary.
Oh, God, yes, I know. I'm like, okay, is this a thriller or what's going on here?
Yeah.
All Griffin done is just like, a day at the office, training someone new, Bronson Pinchot, no less.
Yeah.
I think that was a little bit of projection of Martin Scorsese. I'm like, I'm not sure which direction I want to go in. Because he's just a data processor at a bank.
Uh-huh. And
then all of a sudden he just randomly meets Roseanne Arquette. This is how it starts off. Hit it off. He calls her up later on that night, and it's in New York. It's 24. The city's 24/7, practically. So and the funniest thing that started it off, the $20 bill he was going to pay the taxi cab to Roseanne Arquette's apartment flew out the window, and that was the first bad thing that happened. It was just so awkward.
It's just one of these movies and it starts that trend. I think it was a brand new thing where the movies where everything goes bad in one night. Usually those are horror movies, but this is the first time where it wasn't. And there's so many movies after this, like License to Drive, Mystery Date, Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Pfeiffer. It's like a mini genre of, hey, this night went horribly, horribly wrong, no matter how hard you try.
Exactly. I mean, he's hoping to get lucky with her, and then she just gets really weird and crazy. And not to mention her roommate is, like this one of those, like an artist, like very open-minded, not really caring. She's like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. She just randomly takes off her shirt in front of him.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, she doesn't have to sexualize it. She's like, oh, well, I'm a mess. Oh, God, I gotta change my shirt. Whatever. But, yeah, as it proceeds, like, he tries to go out with her, then he tries to go back home, ends up, meeting someone else, like, he bumps into Terry Garr, he bumps into, oh, God, who else? John Hurd, the bartender.
Oh, that's weird. I just realized the parents from Home Alone are in this. That's weird. Because Catherine O'Hara's in it later.
Oh, God, yeah, she is. She was one of the punks. She was hella messing with him and being sarcastic with him. But he kind of, was losing his patience and just snapped a little.
Yeah, it's like everybody in this is a little fucked up in one way or another, except maybe, like, John Hurd. Because he's just confused on who he is, and everything just keeps going wrong. This escalation of the timing of things or the people he meets up with just keeps making it worse and worse. He just wants to go home and get some sleep before he has to go to work again. That's it.
I know. And just the randomest things. Like, he thinks Cheech and Chong were robbing Linda Fiorentino's apartment, who's Rosanna Arquette's roommate. And also he finds her tied up. She's like, oh, no, those guys are just buying all that stuff off me. And then it turns out she's just getting into some BDSM play.
Yeah, but they actually are thieves, though, and that's part of the problem, is that they're also thieves. So, and they think that since he's not from around there, that he's the thief. There's so many things in this that just go bananas, and there's some moments that are truly terrifying. I don't want to say the plot point, because I really want everybody to see this movie, there's a scene towards the end that has to do with claustrophobia, and it fucking terrified me.
Oh, gosh, yes, I know. Ugh. Just the sheer thought of that.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's nuts. And then, just how it ended, though. Oh, man, I'm like, all he wanted to do was just get home and sleep.
Yeah.
And
it's just an escalation of events, but the fun part is it's kind of broken up in these little bits, because he spends 10 minutes with this character, 10 minutes with this character, you revisit old characters, and it's just one neighborhood. He can't even get out of this fucking neighborhood. And that's a small neighborhood. It's like a 2-block thing where he just can't get out.
Yeah, it was like Brooklyn, I believe, wasn't it? Because I know Scorsese's originally from New York.
Wouldn't it be funny if this was a sequel to Escape from New York?
Or a comedic retelling of Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. Where is Scorsese from? Oh, he's from Queens.
Yeah, this movie was just a big flop. It ended Griffin Dunn as a leading man, basically. He's in Who's That Girl a couple years later, and that was a big stinker. So he went behind the scenes, and he started producing, writing, and directing. Now, I think his biggest movie is probably Practical Magic.
Oh, yeah, there was that one. And then there's also, I remember him in Step Kids.
Yeah, Step Kids. I remember him in My Girl. He's the teacher, I think, that she falls in love with.
Yes, there was that. Step Kids was the short name. It was, Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Eaten.
I was wondering if you're going to bring that one up. I forgot about that. I didn't realize it was called something else.
Yeah, I remember watching Ninja Turtles 2 on VHS, and that was one of the trailers, and it was called Step Kids.
Oh, no, he's acting a lot now. Okay, I guess just for a while it kind of died down for him.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly enjoyed this movie. I didn't really think... I mean, critics seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what to... Oh, fuck, I forgot he was in Johnny Dangerously right before this. Huh.
Oh, Griffin... Oh, that's right, yeah.
His little brother.
Oh my gosh, yes, the district attorney.
Yeah, highly recommend it. It's a stressful movie, but it's also like this weird layer of like bizarro funny in it. It's not flat out funny, but there's some stuff out of these people that's so like, what? That's odd.
I know, and it's from Scorsese, no less.
Yeah. It's one unique film that stands out from the rest of them. And he's not a guy who really gets pigeonholed. Yes, he does a lot of like gangster movies, but if you look at the big realm of things, though, he has a wide... I mean, he did Kundun, for Pete's sake. That was a movie about Tibet.
Oh, yeah, and one of his recent films, Hugo, from 2011.
Right, and The Silence. So he's a very, very interesting director, and he never really lets me down.
No, it's hard to go wrong with Scorsese.
What is the next film?
Okay. This one, I remember seeing this late night HBO. I think it was on the comedy section, and it took me by surprise. I was like, "Oh wait, it's a young Johnny Depp at Private Resort."
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to recommend this one. But there's some stuff that doesn't work in this movie, and I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest thing is that I don't care for the heroes. But what I love are all the side characters, and the fucking setups for the wacky shenanigans are brilliant.
Oh gosh, Hector Elizondo.
Oh god, that ridiculous fucking wig.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh god. Jodie Goodman was in this as well. I'm trying to think. Oh, what was that one major D? Who's like so snooty around everyone.
Oh,
like,
okay. Hold on. He's the security guard, right?
I want to say the guy who played Reeves. I think his name was.
Hold on. Which character did he play?
I'm trying to think. No. The character's name was Reeves. I want to say Tony Azito.
Okay, Tony. Yes, tis Tony Azito. That's what I thought. He's this tall, goofy security guy. He is in a movie that somehow we did not cover, and I can't believe I fucking forgot to ask you to watch it. It's called Pirates of Penzance, and it's the breakout role for Kevin Kline. He became a star after that movie, even though it tanked. Everybody saw him, and were just blown away by him. And Tony Azito is the head of the police force on this island that are trying to fight the pirates, and he's fucking great. He's a Broadway guy, he's very rubber-limbed, and he does a stunt in this where he gets punched by one of the pirates. He flips over backwards off of his head. I've never seen anything like this. And he kind of does it in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I know he like gets in a fight with someone in the elevator, like where they're like kind of getting at each other, ripping like before like ripping each other's clothes off and like trying to and strangling each other.
Yeah.
And that lady he harassed earlier is like, "Oh my god, you are a pervert."
Yeah. Some of the stuff is just so fast, so funny, and Dottie Goodman as the older lady they're trying to steal the jewelry from is fucking hilarious. I could not stop laughing at her.
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, I think this was like one of the DVDs you sent me in like the 80s summer movie collection.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot I sent you a bunch of summer movies.
Yeah. Oh, no, but that one sequence when they're like trying to hide that drunk girl.
Yeah, and Andrew Dice Clay is the dude, I think, in the other room.
Yeah, he's like comes out asking them for protection. But they're like trying to hide someone, and they keep dropping her. Yeah.
Or there's a whole sequence where like I said, the two main characters are kind of stupid, just dumbass 80s guys. There's nothing really to work with. But Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow are very funny when it comes to the physical humor. And the way they set that, it's like a screwball comedy that you would see on a stage play.
Yes, exactly.
And Rob Morrow has to trim his hair. Do you remember when they go to the room to go to, was it Leslie Easterbrook from Police Academy? They think they're going to have a three-way with her, but they go and they end up like having to pretend to be like the hair cutting, what do you call that? A barber or whatever. And he cuts his hair and he fucks up his wig and he has to pretend he's still the guy. There's a guy knocking on the door who's actually the real barber. Oh my god, it's so fast.
Yeah, like I said, it can have some charm, but yeah, overall, I didn't find anything that would, reel me back in too much.
Wow, I'm looking at this right now. Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow took a mutual who were so embarrassed by the film that they swore a pact to track down and destroy every copy.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I couldn't really blame him, but I mean, shit. But hey, Johnny Depp has had much great success afterward.
Yeah,
Rob Morrow.
Yeah, Rob Morrow. It took him a while to outlive this movie because he was a Broadway guy. I believe he was in Brighton Beach Memoirs and Biloxi Blues. He's one of those guys. And then it took like 5 years to get Northern Exposure, and that's how he broke out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then Johnny Depp, of course. This is that weird moment between Nightmare on Elm Street and Platoon, and then the next year, of course, he gets 21 Jump Street. So this is the one. Yeah, I can see why he'd want to forget this. But they have a gift for pratfalls and physical comedy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he even clearly displayed that in Benny and June.
Yeah. All right. What is our next film?
Okay, now this one was a big. Of course, this one was a big hit of the '80s. Like, one of the most memorable amongst the John Hughes era. Starred Anthony Michael Hall in Weird Science.
Weird Science.
Oh god, it spawned an awesome hit by Oingo Boingo. Danny Elfman, man.
Yeah,
Danny
and
Elfman.
he's embarrassed by this song. I watched an interview with him. He says that he does not perform the song. That they never really performed the song after that first year, and he's embarrassed by the video. And I guess it's all because, it was because at the last minute Universal Studios asked him to do the song or whatever, and he wrote it on the way to the studio to pitch it to him. And for some reason he feels like it's just not one of our songs. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Stop being ashamed of your biggest hit. It's good.
Oh my gosh, I think, what's his name? Allison Janney from Warrant. Oh god, he hated Cherry Pie afterwards.
Yeah. It's for this, I mean, Oingo Boingo is my absolute favorite band, and he's probably my favorite composer. And I don't see any shame in this. I don't understand that part. Okay. Yeah, and I don't know if it's because he's embarrassed because it became such a big hit, or if that was their one breakout, song, or the TV show. I don't know what it was, but thankfully everybody else in the cast and the crew or whatever loved the film, and it grew to such a cult hit. It wasn't that big in the theaters. People don't remember that. It only made like $20 million.
Oh, damn.
It didn't help that I think the week after this is when Real Genius came out, and the week after that is when My Science Project came out. So it's all right on top of each other.
Oh wow! Oh damn! All these big like science-based teen comedies just ended up just like piling on top of each other. Like, yeah, I think people got a little bit worn out.
I can see that totally. Yeah, because back then movies had more shelf life. They wouldn't make a bunch of money in the beginning, and they would just stick around for a couple months. But if Weird Science is opening big and then it doesn't keep playing because there's competition, then you just killed yourself on that one.
Pretty much, yeah. But oh man, just the way this starts out, they just using a computer just to create like the perfect woman, and wearing bras on their head. That I think was like a running gag, I think, like in any kind of tribute to this film.
Yeah, well, it's what this originally was, and this somehow led to Tales from the Crypt, because Joel Silver was a massive fan of those old fun comic books that were kind of dark and weird and whatever. And so he licensed the name. He didn't license the story like the way he would with Tales from the Crypt, but he worked with John Hughes on this, and I think it's weird because this is the first John Hughes directed movie that's a little, more farcical, a bigger scope than just kind of human relations. And I don't know if he really ever... Did he ever do another... Oh, he wrote Flubber. I guess that counts as another, like, fantasy sci-fi movie. The rest of them are all, hey, this is based in Chicago. These are a bunch of normal people doing a normal thing. Just to kind of wacky, like Home Alone and Baby's Day Out and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Right. But yeah, no, this was, kind of over the top. Oh, especially, Bill Paxton.
Oh my god. Chet is the fucking greatest heel in history.
Oh man, just like coming home the weekend hunting. Not only were his like grandparents frozen in the pantry, but
what the hell is that?
Oh man, and as soon as oh gosh, why am I blanking on her name?
You mean Kelly
I can't believe
LeBrock?
I'm forgetting it. Yes, as soon as she got a hold of him, she turned him into a piece of shit. Because he's been a piece of shit to him for the longest time. So it's only right. Oh man, that sequence was just ridiculous. But yeah, just the way oh yeah, Robert Downey Jr. was also in this.
Yeah.
For a scene.
Do you know I still do the that they do.
I wouldn't blame you. Something like that can get stuck in your head and just be there for the rest of life. It's like as soon as you hear someone else do that, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Freudian effect.
Is that what it is?
Oh man, but yeah, I believe so. Yes.
I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Like,
There's something. Did you? I told you that I met the cast of this right at Comic-Con last year.
Yes, and you asked Anthony Michael Hall why he didn't come back for vacation.
No, I didn't. I didn't ask him. That was somebody else that asked. I was just sitting next to the guy. No, I just told him that the movie he did after this, which people say destroyed his career, was called Out of Bounds, which is my favorite movie of his, though I love Weird Science. Out of Bounds is fucking rad, and it's still lost, and I'm wrong. Wikipedia says this made $40 million, so never mind. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it was a much bigger hit.
Mm. Yeah, no. Oh, man, that last scene at the end, though, like those bikers when
That's the rough part. That's the go. You have to just go. Oh, it was the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a
like
word.
Mad Max.
Yeah, that scene's great, except there's a word that comes out of Gary's mouth that is unacceptable.
Oh gosh, I couldn't remember it. I just remember him like putting the revolver.
Yeah, it's a homophobic slur. So you just have to chalk it up to the '80s and just try to let it go.
Yeah, no, those are the product. Hey, warning label. Like, there were some slurs and everything used as a product of their time.
Yeah,
just like what Warner Brothers did with their with their black and white cartoons.
The guy who's best friends with Robert Downey Jr., the one who pulls all the pranks, his name is Robert Russler, and he is actually from my hometown. One of the girls I was in high school art class with was his cousin.
Oh, yeah. What else was he in?
He was in Vamp, and he was in the second Nightmare on Elm Street. Those are kind of like his big things. I know that he had a coke problem for a while, and he had to leave and clean himself up, but now he's back to acting again. He's been good for a while.
Glad to hear. Good for him.
See what else is it? Thrashin'. Thrashin'. Do you remember Thrashin', the skateboarding movie with Josh Brolin?
No, I don't. I didn't even know that movie existed.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty terrible, too, at the same time. It's one of those, like, oh, man, I can't believe they made this. He was a regular on Babylon 5 for a season, but mostly it's just one of those regular TV guys. I'm trying to think of something you would have seen, and I can't find anything. Sometimes They Come Back. Have you seen that? The Stephen King movie with Tim Matheson?
Oh, yes, about those, like, greaser ghosts who end up killing a couple
he's
people
the main villain.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Damn. That's why he seems so familiar.
Okay. I was wondering, it had been something. Yeah, for a while there, he was like the quintessential, like, 80s guy.
Yeah. And, of course, every time there's, like, a 80s movie marathon, this is definitely one of those movies that plays. And, of course, Anthony Michael Hall was, like, as a kid, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, this, and... what was the other one that he was in?
Hold on,
John Hughes related.
Hold on, I'm trying to remember. So it goes. Well, he was in the original Vacation, which John Hughes wrote. Then he was in 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, then this. Then he went to SNL, but then halfway through SNL, he disappears to go shoot Out of Bounds, and that was it. Basically, he did Johnny Be Good, Edward Scissorhands, and then his career just turned to like low rent cable and direct-to-video stuff until Dead Zone, of course.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, God.
The thing that saved his career, basically.
Yeah. But then seeing him in oh, God, there was... Oh, yeah. He was also in Dark Knight.
Yeah, he has a small role in that. He's really beefy now, which... this is right before he turned kind of bigger. He when he did Johnny Be Good, he had to be a football player, and he put on like 20 pounds of muscle. Of course, in Edward Scissorhands, he's really beefy. And he never really shook that. But he was so gawky and thin these first few years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, he was just growing. He was just growing up, man. That's all. Yeah. He was just going through puberty.
Do you think... someone told me this scene was really offensive, but I still think it's hilarious because it's so absurd, is when he's drunk, and then he's sitting there talking, but he's talking like this weird, like, blues man in the South kind of voice. Like, man, this girl, she kicked me in the nuts. She kicked me right in the nuts.
Oh, God. Again, now, I can't say as far as that goes for that for being offensive. I just thought he was just drunk out of his mind and he was just
I didn't think he was. I don't know. I heard somebody complain about it and I was like, I don't think you're reading that right. But I think it's just a really funny movie, very, very creative, and just one of these where Joss Whedon was complaining about this movie. He said that he didn't like the way that Lisa was used. Like, they just created this woman as a sex object. And I was like, did you watch the same movie I did? Because she always has the upper hand. She's always in control. She's the leader. She's the boss. She's never used.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they built her for their pleasure, but then she ends up, being something far more than that because the advanced computer system that they
I
have.
think she's just a strong female hero in the 80s, and there wasn't a lot of them.
No, not too much. I mean, there's Legend of Billie Jean. There's this
Aliens, Terminator.
And,
it's few and far between.
But this is when they started. I think this is when they really started rising up.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's a very wonderful.
80s classic.
There's an edition of this from the UK, which you can get in America, and it works on all Blu-ray players. It's from a company called Arrow, when they put out a very, very exquisite edition of Weird Science last year. But there's extra footage in it. Some of it's the stuff from the TV airing because they had to cut stuff out, and some of it just was left on the floor. It was only a few minutes. But in this, you discover that... I'm trying to remember. Okay, Wyatt is Ian Michael Smith or whatever, right? Mitchell Smith?
Mm-hmm.
He has a sister. Yeah. And that's why when you, at the end of the movie, when they're sleeping in beds, whatever, the girls, out of nowhere, you're like, where does... That's not Chet's bedroom. Whose bedroom is this? He had a sister who was away at college.
Right, yeah. Because they had like an extra... Because they did have an extra room. I'm like, wait a minute, there's Chet's room, there's that room, and then there's this other room. But then again, it was a big house, so...
Oh, to say, in the 80s, it seems like all these movies were set in suburban, like, rich... Oh, no, I forgot. John Hughes did a Ferris Bueller, which I bet you that was just down the street from this house. And Home Alone. I feel like these are all in the same neighborhood. I bet you... What if there's a Hughes-averse?
At this point, yes. Maybe. Who knows? Like, the family moved out, the house was too big for them, they settled somewhere smaller, another family moved in.
What if the Wet Bandits had just got done robbing Carrie Wyatt's house?
Oh, gosh. Yes, who knows? Maybe somewhere there's a little Easter egg, like when they were mentioning like some of their previous jobs.
Yeah, they used to be janitors at the school where Ferris Bueller went, and they're connected to Mr. Rooney.
Oh my God.
Mr. Rooney tells him about all the students that are going on vacation or whatever, and that's how he gets to the houses. And they're in the same gang. They're in the same gang as those losers in Baby's Day Out. Their former leader was Christopher Lloyd from the Dennis the Menace movie.
Yeah, no, and then he lost everything, and that's how he ended up in Dennis the Menace. He was just traveling.
Yeah.
Along. Oh man. Oh.
So much fun.
Seriously, again, it's an 80s classic. So fun. Definitely can rewatch it.
Definitely.
And Danny Elfman, don't be ashamed of that song.
Oh, no way. What is our next movie?
Although my favorite was Dead Man's Party.
My favorite is one from actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And it's No One Lives Forever. Oh, wow.
Oh, Goodbye Goodbye was a good one, too, from...
they did... We're probably never going to discuss this on the show besides right now. The next year is when they do the Fast Times at Ridgemont High TV spinoff, which only lasted 6 episodes. They did the theme song, and it's so good.
I'll definitely have to listen.
Yeah, I'll find it on YouTube. There's a few episodes that survived on YouTube. Okay, what is our next film?
Okay, our next film... Oh, yeah, this was, I think, the biggest... I'm pretty sure it was the biggest hit of 1985,
it was.
as far as my knowledge goes.
215 million, and I saw it in the theaters, and boy, you have got to see this in theaters if they ever replay it. It's such a wonderful experience. We saw it in a packed theater, and it just played like nobody's business.
Yes. Oh, and of course, it was featured in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Season 3, I believe, when they go to the mall.
Oh, right, yeah. This is one of the quintessential... It's my favorite trilogy. I think it's one of the few true trilogies. It is perfect from beginning to end. When I heard a complaint once that said, the first 15 minutes is so boring, I was like, fuck you. What do you want? What do you want out of this movie, huh?
It's like you're establishing character, plot, what's going on, setting it all up before it gets to the juicy part. It's an appetizer.
Right? The iconic scene of him coming in, and they're showing all the clocks, and he's just kind of setting things up. He gets that giant fucking speaker with that itty teeny little guitar, and it just blows him away instantly. That's a hell of a fucking opening.
Oh god, yes, it was just a ridiculous gag.
Do you remember? There's a clock in there. I think it's right after they look at the cat clock. There's a clock where a guy keeps lifting a beer. He's leaning up against a light post, and the hand keeps going up to his mouth with a beer. My grandma Ruth had that.
Oh my.
It's a real
And the
clock,
whole
and she had it on her wall, and we could not wait for the hour to come around so we could watch it go.
Yeah, no. Oh gosh, yeah. That's. Oh, I'm surprised my dad didn't have that kind of clock.
But I don't know if he's old enough. Your dad's not that old. It's something I think from like the 50s or something. But
Yeah.
it's just everything in this works. The opening, I love the set, which became quintessential after this movie. Well, I think it was actually used in Gremlins.
Yeah.
I think it was actually used in Gremlins, and then this, and it's in Monster Squad, and it's still, I think, up until it's used in The Burbs. Tons of amazing stories. Spielberg loved this set because it was an all-American square. And I believe it was used in Gilmore Girls, and I don't know if the set's still being used or not, but that was one of the last things I know.
Yeah, and that was the Warner Brothers set, I believe.
Yeah.
No. Gremlins had their own Warner Brothers Town Square set that was used for Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
Universal definitely had their own square, which is where we see Back to the Future happen. Yeah, I remember this. I went on the tours last year.
Oh, you get to do this. I gotta come down with you and go to Disney. I've never been to Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland, damn it. And I'm gonna go see Universal Studios.
I still have not seen, Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars area.
Well, I've heard that's a torturous. Yeah, I've heard it's a torturous wait. Mindy went to see it though, so maybe it's not that hard to get in. I knew you have to reserve it like way ahead of time, I think, and you only get like a small chunk of time.
Yeah, no, of course. But yeah, like pretty much we'll have to spend a whole day there. But back to this movie. Yes, again, Robert Zemeckis just absolutely knows what he's doing. Had perfect timing. I mean, yeah, when it came to the comedic parts, they originally cast Eric Stoltz, but he just didn't have what Michael J. Fox had.
Yeah, what I was reading was I was watching the documentary on Teen Wolf, and what had happened was he was literally doing Family Ties from 8 in the morning till like 3 in the afternoon. Then he would shoot pickups for like a month there. He was doing pickups and audio tracks for Teen Wolf, and then he had to spend all night on Back to the Future and just napping when he got the chance. He was sleeping like 3 hours a night for months. That's crazy. That energy but the energy is almost needed because he's kind of fried and frazzled in this film.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, heck, it also fits with what he's trying to do in the movie. He's like in the past, and he's trying to ensure that his parents still hook up so he could still be born with his and his siblings as well.
Yeah, when we discovered that, the first time I saw that, did you freak out? Because I was like, oh my god, he's going to die. They're actually going to kill him because I was a kid and I didn't know any better.
Yeah, no, it's like, oh my god, he's disappearing. Yeah, it's freaky. It's like, it's your seat kind of moment. And this is a brand new movie. It's not based off anything. It's original.
Yeah.
So, shit. You're almost like, oh crap, it didn't happen. It's a sad ending, but then, no. Oh god, Crispin Glover. Like, he comes back in, pushes Courtney Gaines out of the way, bam.
Earth Angel, Earth Angel. I have a DeLorean on my fridge from Back to the Future 2. I have a DeLorean little plate on my keys. I truly believe it is in my top 10, and it is the greatest trilogy. I know this backwards and forwards. I think 2 is a little overstuffed, and I think the third one is it's starting to wear thin a little bit, especially with the requirement of having the older actors continually to show up. Like forcing Leah Thompson in and just for like a minute, and there's no Crispin Glover anymore. Some of it doesn't work, but it's the closest thing to a true... It's a perfect trilogy when you think about how much work that they put into them when you watch them as a whole.
Yes, of course. Oh my gosh. I think 2 and 3 are like released a year after each other because they were both
it was November 15th, 1989. It was Back to the Future 2, and then Memorial Day of 1990 is Back to the Future 3. So they're shot together, but they knew post-production on Part 2 was going to take forever. So that kind of delayed things a bit. I think originally Back to the Future 3 was supposed to be summer of '89. Thank goodness it didn't come out because there was so much competition. And there's a huge drop in the box office. The first one made $215, the second one made $115, and then the third one made $80 million.
Yeah, no, that is a bit of a bummer, but still, they're, again, a perfect trilogy to how the story played out. Just beautifully done. Everybody's got their own happiness. Like, the future's unwritten. And, yeah, Marty gets to still spend time with Jennifer. I honestly think Elizabeth Shue was the better actress. But then again,
I don't know.
There's only so much for Jennifer.
Yeah, I feel like they shoehorned her
There's
in the
only so
second
much
and third
in the
one.
first
She didn't
movie.
seem comfortable. Yeah. Also, speaking of, Claudia Wells is the one who was in the first Back to the Future. She's in that Fast Times at Ridgemont High show. She takes over for the Phoebe Cates role.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Patrick.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Patrick Dempsey's first role. It has Courtney Thorne-Smith and Dean Cameron from Summer School. They're in it. I gotta find clips for you, or at least an episode for you.
Absolutely, please do.
But
again,
I saw this at
also,
I saw this at the theater. I missed the second one, but I saw the third one at the drive-in with Jetsons, the movie.
Oh, sweet! So that must have been a double treat.
Yeah.
Oh man, I couldn't blame you. But I mean, when I first watched this, of course, I was a kid and it was on TV. Reruns, of course. What's a rerun?
You set that one up perfectly. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Jason Hervey, son of a bitch.
Dude, honestly though, watching the first movie, I was more familiar with the second one because I was more into the like futuristic looking stuff.
Yeah.
As a kid, that's what I dreamed of, especially with the hoverboards. That was I think the most iconic things about it. But then going back to the first one, seeing how it all really started, just like having an Oedipal Rex moment kind of going on.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a really awkward scene.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes, I know. Leah Thompson, his mother.
The
He's trying to make moves on him.
The skateboard truck chase is so exciting and so well done. But I'm telling you, that final sequence with the thunderstorm and the lightning and Doc Brown and having to slide down and connect it all, the lightning just hit. I mean, it's a perfect sequence.
Yes, absolutely. I know. It's just so pulse pounding. It's like, oh crap, get it. Oh man,
that guy's so quotable. So many fucking quotable things in this. I just, what the fuck's a gigawatt? You mean the actor?
What's 7 gigawatts?
Marty, is there something wrong with gravity in the future? Slacker! You're all a bunch of slackers.
James Tolkien. Oh my god, yeah, great supporting cast. Again, one of Billy Zane's early roles.
Yeah, and Casey Siemaszko's in this too. He's one of the other guys. He ended up being in Young Guns and 3 O'Clock High and the best episode of Amazing Stories. You remember the one where they're the fighter pilots? Kevin Costner's the pilot and he gets trapped in the bubble?
I think so. Oh god.
He gets trapped in the bubble because the landing gear gets jammed because it gets shot out or something like that. And he's trapped in the bubble and they're running out of gas and they have to land. And then he draws and wishes and hopes to God or whatever. And all of a sudden there's a cartoon wheel that comes out and lands. They're safe.
Oh, wow. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
It's great.
I'll probably find it on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland's in it too.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I gotta find this episode for you
in
now.
This movie, yes, please do. But in this movie, I say who was definitely a show stealer. Oh gosh, Crispin Glover.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely astounding. Thomas F. Wilson got the short shaft though because no one ever talks about his performance. No one ever gives him. He hardly got any work after this. He had to go back and do comedy again. I think him as Biff through this whole trilogy is the best thing. If Crispin Glover had stayed in, he probably would have got it. But Thomas F. Wilson is fucking amazing as Biff.
Oh god, yeah, you can't. Absolutely. I mean, this is the one role that definitely made him. I mean, I think he was also in Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, that was so many years later. There's so many years later. Like after this, I think he did April Fool's Day, which is a horror comedy. Then he shows up in a very small part in Action Jackson, and then I couldn't fucking tell you what he did for another 15 years.
I know. It is a bit of a bummer. I mean, he was involved with the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios because he steals the time machine and they go through all the different decades and generations. But yeah, seriously, again, just like his stupidity is just what was so astoundingly charming.
Make like a tree and get out of here.
Oh man,
manure. I hate manure.
Fly. Oh god, yes. And you see that repeated throughout the trilogy, which is great. Yeah. Even with his great ancestor in the third movie.
Yeah, this is it's a franchise that goes beyond just the 3 movies. A lot of people don't realize that there was a cartoon series, there's video games, and I'm not just talking like the adaptations straight from the video games, which it's straight, I should say, not because those Nintendo games fucking suck. But the one that he did,
I don't even know what to do.
The Telltale games, right? That's the one that was kind of animated.
Yeah, it was a point-and-click game, and it was, it was definitely more stylish. It looked more along the lines of the graphic novels that came out after it.
Yeah, I think I sent you
Like
one of
the one you
those,
sent
and I think the graphic novels are really
Yeah.
good. And the reason they're so good is because Bob Gale has been in charge, I believe, for the entire time of the back. Like, Robert Zemeckis said, hey, you get to control this franchise. You know, when it comes to licensing and continuing the stories, you're in charge. And that's why they're still so strong, because Bob Gale, A, it hasn't got a lot of work in the last 20 years. And B, it's his baby. Why wouldn't you want to keep hold of it?
Exactly, I know, and it's still throughout every generation, it's still so well loved.
Yeah.
Except nowadays, kids are going to be like, "Wait, that didn't happen in 2015.
Yeah.
In 2016."
They talk about remaking this, and I say, don't you fucking dare remake this. The only thing you can do with this franchise, the only thing you can do, is continue the story. I say Jules and Vern are now the main characters. They still go back in time or into the future, whatever, and maybe they go looking for Doc and Marty. You know, maybe they got lost in a time thing or whatever, or just give them their own adventures. Make it an animated movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Just something.
Exactly. Oh, heck, Tom Holland could play Jules or Vern.
Oh, I like that. Because time is fluid with them.
Yeah.
Because they're born in the 1800s, but yet they could be, 20, and yet it's, in this year because they're bouncing around time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, that'd be so good. Honestly, who knows? If Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale come back to it and get another movie going,
Man, Zemeckis needs a hit badly. It's been a very, very long time because remember he stopped doing live-action movies because he got distracted by the animated ones. He did Polar Express, Beowulf, and Christmas Carol.
Yes, all those mocap ones.
Yeah, and then I think the last one he didn't direct it, but he produced it. It was called like Mars Needs Moms, and that put his company out of business. Image Movers, I think it was. And then he regained some of his mojo with Flight, but then The Walk was a huge flop, and Welcome Marwin is a huge flop as well, even though I like that one.
I couldn't see why this flopped. It's so weird.
But but that's how he began his career too. Used Cars and I Want to Hold Your Hand, 1941. They all bombed, and they almost destroyed their career if it wasn't for Romancing the Stone.
Yeah, it did save him. Oh, he did do Witches with Anne Hathaway.
Oh, I forgot that just came out. I heard that's really good. People are really talking about that one.
Yeah, I really do want to see it.
Is it weird how the rules have changed? The rules have completely changed. You do not need to put a movie in theaters. You do not have to rely on the critics. You do not have to rely on what the opening box office is. It's just, hey, you gave us a big chunk of fucking money. You basically let us do whatever we want because we have some cachet with you. Like, you bring Robert Zemeckis to Netflix or HBO Max, that's a name you could sell. Like Michael Bay with Six Underground. And it really doesn't matter how much it costs because it's about the subscriptions, keeping you subscribed instead of getting you out of your house. Getting in your car, paying for the ticket for yourself or whoever else you're with, whatever, staying in line, dealing with other people. The rules have completely changed. And fuck, Wonder Woman is going to be on HBO Max opening day?
And yeah, exactly. I know. It's a bold move, but it's like, dude, this movie's got to be shown.
I know.
And the pandemic going on, there's not much the theaters can do.
Right.
Which is
And Warner Brothers is deep in debt. Yeah,
so.
But it's amazing that now we have these new rules. And, boy, do I wish my Roku had HBO Max. Make a deal, you fuckers.
Well, my PS4 has HBO Max.
Shut
I'm
up.
going to wait till Wonder Woman comes out.
Shut up. I'm coming over to your house. I'm driving all the way down there to see it.
Fine, then. Go ahead. We can also... Oh, yeah, they're releasing a bunch of their movies on HBO Max now.
Yeah.
Well, of course, due to the pandemic, with the theater efforts.
Yeah. Well, when the biggest movie of the year, the biggest movie of 2020 post COVID is Tenet, and it only made $57 million, something you're going to have to change the rules.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Is that domestic or internationally?
That's domestic. It's made like $357 million worldwide, though, so it's okay.
Yeah, of course, and it's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
So that's another key factor.
Well, we are at an hour.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's 6 o'clock. Woo. Well, I guess we don't. We'll do beer on the next episode. I really want you to see it because it's got a lot of good stuff in it. Anything else you want to say before we go?
As far as it goes for movies now, as far as these ones go, of course, Back to the Future is an instant classic. That goes without saying. But I would definitely recommend I would definitely recommend as far as like just ridiculous cheese. If you just want some cheese, just watch Last Dragon.
Yeah. So I have a surprise for you and our listeners for Christmas. We might not get it done in time for Christmas, but for December, let's do a Back in Tune special. We haven't done one in a year. Let's pick 4 '80s cartoons and just have fun with them because we haven't done one in so long.
Oh, joy!
Yee! I got a list. I'm going to send it to you, and you just pick whatever you want.
Okay. Oh my god. I feel so happy.
Yeah, it's happy as a puppy with 2 pitas.
A puppy with 2 pitas. Dogs like pitas. I didn't know Kirito.
Have a good time, everybody. Stay safe, and send us out, Jacob.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. Namaste. Good luck.
Go to KFC.
I did not expect that. You didn't hear that? Okay. Everybody be excellent to each other. I gotta go.